Hello everybody, thank you for joining me at Evolutionary Energy Arts once again. So we have major flooding going on over in Japan, and more than 37 dead, over 50 missing, and record rains going on in Japan. 50,000 rescuers mobilized, and actually at one point in time over 4.72 million people were under evacuation orders or advisories. 4.72 million, that's huge. And with the population of Japan itself, that's a big percentage, and it's just kind of amazing to wrap your mind around, but that's where we are in this day and age. And so let's look at some of the photos of what's going on in Japan. Here we see people waiting to be rescued, on top of the roof of their house, and they only have a few inches before the water's up to the roof. That's a pretty damn dramatic thing to see. These rains were completely torrential. As we see, this whole bridge is gone, just gone. So again, places are going to be blocked off with the type of rainfall we've been seeing. You could find yourself totally isolated on the wrong side of the road very quick, and this is one of the strongest ones we've seen. Look at this. Look at these houses just basically encircled by the floodwaters. Absolutely incredible. And this house, part of its post swept away. It's falling on into the river, or what is now a river. Just dramatic to see, just powerful what water can do, as this man tries to save some things waist deep in water, escaping the flooding. Incredible. And here's another view of another structure falling on into the water, and rescues going on en masse, as we see houses with just basically the roofs just staying above board, and in some cases not even that. So at least 37 people killed, and at least 50 are missing as the rains continue falling over parts of Japan. Nearly 50,000 members of self-defense forces, police, and firefighting services are searching for the trapped, the wounded, the elderly. Kyoto News Service reported on Saturday the 7th. The death toll is expected to rise before the rain eases up on Sunday. So we have another whole day to go through rain. And we have rivers in a very wide area from southern to western Japan. They're swollen, overflowing, bridges being washed away, with more than 500 homes damaged as of 7 JST time on July 7th. And major manufacturers were also affected, their production and sales obviously disrupted. 3.54 inches of rain per hour was being recorded in the city of Susaki, and more than 2.75 inches in the same time span in Iwakakuni, Yamaguchi Prefecture. Just amazing downfalls that we're seeing. Incredible destructive power. And this extreme weather event was caused by a seasonal rain front that expected to be stationary above the main island of Honshu until around the 8th. And this is part of what we were talking about as well, with these systems just parking themselves, suspiciously just parking themselves. And as we're going to see too, it's very curious. A lot of this is very curious, and of course the suspicious people that I am, and a lot of you guys are too, have to wonder. So here we see a big section of road gone away, and there are a couple of cars that are down in this, and they're all wrapped up in wires as well. And I'll let you guys play these videos. They are powerful videos that show you exactly the level of destruction that's going on there. This is huge. This is truly huge, and its impact is going to be far-reaching, and again, will have impact on crop production, food production, distribution. We're going to have impacts on so many things. They're just going to add to everything that's happening right now. in really what is a perfect storm situation that is hitting us around the globe. And so it's going to have tremendous, tremendous impact on what is going on. And this is not an isolated case, as we know, if you guys have been watching. This is happening on a daily basis somewhere, but this one is very large, and we will keep watching it. We have a wall of sand in Arizona. 2018's first dust storm engulfs part of the East Valley, and you can see these dramatic pictures. And again, I'll let you guys play that video as well. This latest monsoon storm comes 7 years to the day of a habab that hit the valley, which garnered national and global attention. And, you know, obviously really dramatic photos. Look at that wall. And that's just, wow. It's pretty apocalyptic looking for sure. And now, you know, and I've talked to so many of you over in this area already this morning. Southern California sets all-time heat records amid broiling conditions, and you guys are saying that yes, there is something unusual with this, and many are suspicious that this is going to lead to an outbreak of tremendous fires, which will keep that agenda, in brackets, quote unquote 21, going, perhaps, with the fires, and we'll see what manifests from these temperatures. Incredible temperatures. Going to be like 108 in downtown LA, 106 to 108 degrees, blowing away previous records. And some of the places that set all-time records: Van Nuys Airport 117, Burbank Airport 114, UCLA 111, Santa Ana 114, Ramona 115. According to the National Weather Service, Riverside tied its all-time high temp of 118. Downtown LA hit a new high for the day at 108, Long Beach 108, Woodland Hills 118. And the heat wave's going to continue this weekend. Impressive temperatures, and you saw that heat wave out in Africa too, with 124, 125 temps. Insane. It's broiling, and so it sounds crazy to say, you know, we're heading into we are in a grand solar minimum. A mini ice age is coming with these temps, but the extremes are the thing, and these extremes are going to get more and more pronounced. And so, you know, it's July 7th, and it's only just a matter of a couple more months, and we're going to be talking about record cold sweeping in across, you know, many areas. And, you know, give it a little bit longer and we'll be talking about unusually early snows as well. So, you know, the bigger question is, how do we deal with these extremes? Because these extremes are the new norm, and we're just getting started. And so we see the path of Beryl, and this is Hurricane Beryl, which is due because of, like, there's a strong wind system that's going to tear it apart, supposedly, or supposed to tear it apart. From what I was looking at, though, I would be concerned with it jogging slightly to the north of here, you know, and then reforming. And with what we've seen last year, nothing would really surprise me when it comes to these things. The way some of these storms seem to be steered, and you know, as we saw with Harvey, which just all of a sudden blew up in intensity, boom, and then just parked itself in the worst spot possible and sat and just gave us record flooding. Again, looks very, very suspicious. And if we were in biblical times, we would be talking about the wrath of God, you know, coming upon us, and many do talk about that. But then also many of us say that, well, maybe not the wrath of God, but the wrath of who exactly, and what is their, you know, intentions here. So we'll watch this, and you know, it's not supposed to amount to anything, but you never know. And then with what's setting up now with those temperatures over in Africa, so we are getting now into the point of time where things are changing, and we'll see more favorable development of these tropical systems, unfortunately. Severe storms leaving thousands without power in northeast Ohio. Spectrum cable is down, over 13,000 without power. And this is part of what we're seeing. We don't even need tropical systems to just completely shut everything down and tear apart the infrastructure. It doesn't take that anymore. Just any old storm seems to have the power to just do that in and of itself now. It's incredible. Earth must strengthen its defenses against mutant space bacteria, say Russian scientists. And so terrestrial bacteria that were sent into space and returned changed now pose a threat to the existence of life on Earth, and measures must be taken planet side to contain them. The Russian experiment called BioRisk has revealed that various microorganisms from Earth were able to survive in the harsh conditions of space on the surface of the International Space Station. It was carrying out starting in January 2005 at the Russian segment of the ISS, and saw 68 different organisms, including bacteria, insects, vertebrate animals, and higher plants, used as test subjects. The mutated bacteria showed high aggressiveness and resistance to antibiotics on their return to Earth. They always love playing with these things, don't they? The Russians report preparing for the meeting of the International Committee on Space Research in the U.S. later on today. Eggs of crustaceans and caviar of African toothcarp fish also managed to survive in outer space for 2.5 years, with the embryos revived after returning to Earth, it said. The living organisms are capable of surviving in outer space. Hypothetically, in the distant future, the arrival of alien substances from other planets to Earth may be possible, as well as to other planets from Earth, the report said. In addition, the danger is posed by terrestrial microorganisms that return from space after visiting another planet and transforming into an unknown manner in its atmosphere. So does this sound like the movie Aliens to you guys? Or perhaps Prometheus? Well, in the future, distant future, the arrival of alien substances from other planets to Earth, it's happened in the distant past. It's happened all the time. And so I have seen other, and like this one is saying right here, viruses falling from the sky in their billions every day. It does. And I know a couple people, when I talked about that last, were saying, what are you talking about? Yeah, life is out there in the quote-unquote vacuum of space. It's things are not as they appear and as we've been led to believe. There are bacteria and viruses out there in space, and they survive. And when they come into our atmosphere, they wake up. And so this is part of everything that happens and how life is spread throughout the universe, because the universe was created for life. It was created by consciousness for exploration of a 3D paradigm. And so that is what we have, and life abounds everywhere. And so we're not just isolated. This is not all of creation, and we've been kept in the dark for sure. And in so many ways, I keep thinking now that we're in this. I just picture it like we're in this huge ant farm, and we're just being observed and experimented on in so many ways. So this is all very, very interesting. And of course, they're planting seeds mentally when they talk about these things as well. Very interesting. So the trade war is in full swing now. China retaliates 25% tariffs on $34 billion worth of U.S. imports. And yeah, we're in a total trade war at this point, and really things are breaking down economically across the globe in so many ways. And there is a lot of good quote-unquote news coming out economically. And then there's this ominous undercurrent going on as well. And be very, very wary and watchful of everything that's going on. This is how things are set up. And so we have Russia also slapping retaliatory duties on U.S. imports. And just watch what goes on. Watch this drama. And it is drama, and so much of it is distraction and all as well, and manipulation. And let's just take a quick look. And yesterday in Hawaii we had another eruption, and of course it was a 5.3, so 5.2 2 days before. We skipped one on 7/6, and so we had one today already. And really, looking at the rest of the earthquakes, nothing really out of the ordinary. Pretty typical for what has been going on. And in the same range as usual, with a 5.2 over in Russia being one of the bigger ones. Lots of activity in Alaska, lots of activity in the West Coast, and going up through the Yellowstone area. But really pretty typical overall. And again, Hawaii still as active as has been, so it's still flowing out of Fissure 8, as we've been saying. And this little article is what caused the mysterious Kentucky meat shower of 1876. We've seen frogs falling out of the sky, fish falling out of the sky, all sorts of crazy, bizarre things, shrimp, starfish. It's wild how these weather phenomena are. And in March 1876, on the 3rd, large chunks of what looked like flesh fell from the sky over Olympia Springs in Kentucky. And so, different thoughts on what it actually was. Some people actually cooked this stuff and ate it and said that it looked like beef but tastes like venison or mutton. But then when tests were done, it apparently is something called a cyanobacteria that forms in colonies surrounded by a protective gelatinous envelope, which is known to swell up into a translucent jelly-like mass whenever it rains. And so it fell from the sky like hail. And so there's nicknames for this material called star jelly, witch's butter, and star slubber were thrown around. It looks kind of like seaweed or so. But what exactly was this stuff? And so there's different thoughts on it. And just in general, just when things get swept up and come out of the sky, it's all very interesting. And I also find it very interesting that if you really look at like UFO reports, they've changed over the years, and so many of them look like what we kind of expect things to look like in the future. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but going back into the 1800s and 1700s, there were lots of sightings of UFOs that looked like dirigibles. So they looked like they were, things that were a little bit ahead of the time, maybe 50 years ahead of the time. And then, of course, with the whole Roswell thing, we got these flying saucer thing, the flying saucer shape fixed in our minds. And then everybody was seeing flying saucers. And it's kind of like perhaps these things are, many of them, perhaps are not so solid, or they take the form of what we expect to see, and some of it also could be this group of beings, this breakaway civilization that you hear so many talking about, that are ahead of us, and perhaps we're seeing some of their ships, materials, etc. And then, of course, there are those that are going to believe these are all just simply demons, and they're things on the spiritual realm, quote unquote, which would be simply a different vibrational realm from here, and they're just taking forms of things. So this article just triggered a lot of thoughts of all the mysterious things that we've seen in the sky and falling from the sky, which really, when you look at it, these phenomena go all the way back into ancient history. I mean, the ancient Greeks were talking about this. We've had these things happen in the Middle Ages with these different substances that fall from the sky, whether it's raining frogs, fish, raining chunks of mysterious meat. It's all very, very curious. And I think when we look at all this in the bigger picture, and if we realize that, whether it's extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, or perhaps leftover vestiges of advanced civilizations that have advanced technology and perhaps are human or proto-human, there's definitely been influence of more advanced beings than where Homo sapiens appears to be at that time. There's definitely evidence of interaction between beings that have more technology than we do. And it explains everything. Anything that you could think of could be explained by simply, a technology that's at the level we're at now, or maybe like, can you imagine where we're going to be 100 years down the road? Now, we already are probably way more ahead than 100 years down the road when it comes down to technology that they're not sharing with us. So it all gets very, very interesting as we are living in many ways a petri dish. And so, are we some of this experimental bacteria that they're checking out how it mutates when it is hit by certain levels of UV rays and cosmic rays? And if you look at what's going on with the magnetosphere and all the energy that's coming in now, it's intense. And so there's a lot of mutation going on, a lot of change, and so many people can feel it. You could feel it. I'm finding very few people, and I don't know if it's the circle that I am in. Perhaps it's the circle I'm in. I'm just surrounded by people that are totally awake. They've all taken the proper pill, and they're seeing things and noticing things. Whereas there are still, I'm sure, a lot of the people in the population that are totally in the dark and don't have a clue, because I do hear that from you guys too. Like my husband doesn't understand me, and why we should prep, or my wife doesn't believe that there are UFOs or anything going on, and my parents don't believe that there's anything unusual going on with the weather or with the governments, So there still are people that are totally in the dark, which we have to wake up as much as possible, because there are things going on, and it's incredible what's going on all around us. How can we deny what we are seeing? Look at what we're seeing here. There's tremendous change. This is not, we have had it's probably more than 20 years worth of flooding related disasters in the last 3 months alone. It really, it is. What we're seeing is not usual, my friends, not usual at all. And there is so much going on, so many questions for us to ask. And again, we need to prepare in every way possible, mentally, spiritually, physically. We need to prepare by linking hands, holding on to each other, pulling each other up, and moving forward together, my friends. So as always, please do thumbs up to support the channel. Please do subscribe, join our family, click the bell for all the updates, and share with as many people as possible. Let's wake them up. We need to wake them up and get them ready, because what we're seeing right here, this could be in our street tomorrow. It really can. It could happen at any time, and it's just a matter of time. So we need to be awake and wake up as many as possible. May you guys be always blessed with safety, peace, love, happiness, and all good things. Stay safe, my friends. Namaste and God bless.